moment, top Congress sources now confirming to India today that tomorrow morning Rahul Gandhi will offer his resignation at a formal level to the Congress Working Committee. The Congress Working Committee, remember, is meeting tomorrow to discuss the party's poll debacle. There have already been rumblings in the Congress over election debacle. 3 Congress presidents, including the UP Congress chief Raj Babbar and its Karnataka chief Mr. Patil, have offered their resignations, and Rahul Gandhi is also under pressure to take some decision on his immediate future. Maushmi Singh joining me. Maushmi, is it going to go to the typical pattern where Rahul Gandhi offers to resign and the CWC rejects his resignation?
Rajdeep, clearly the Congress is infamous for the fact that it doesn't fix accountability. It didn't in 2014 and it didn't after the debacle in the 2017 assembly elections. And you had Raj Babbar going around everywhere with his resignation in his pocket, offering his resignation and not resigning in reality. And after that also the responsibility and accountability was not fixed. Now the CWC is meeting just a day after the debacle. And they say that a post-mortem will be held. Now Rahul Gandhi is in all likelihood supposed to offer his resignation there because he has claimed responsibility for the debacle. But in all likelihood, like in the past, as it has happened, insulating the top leadership, insulating the Gandhi family, collectively the CWC members will say that it is collective responsibility and the grounds are already being prepared. You have leaders of the likes of Avinash Pandey who are issuing statements that it is no one person who is responsible. You have Rajiv Shukla who's talking about how hard Rahul Gandhi has toiled and the number of rallies he's done, and everybody is collectively responsible because the Congress also knows its weakest points, the insecurity that it has, that if it is not for the Gandhi family member who will hold the Congress together, the knives will be out. And that's one reason that the Congress leadership and the Congress members would work towards insulating Rahul Gandhi.
Very interesting. Clearly there is now Rahul Gandhi under pressure on one side, but there are other questions. Who really will the Congress replace him with if they were to so decide? Unlikely, many would say, that the CWC will accept Rahul Gandhi's resignation. Now remember, all of the BJP's saffron clean sweep in India yesterday has left the Congress embarrassed. And the crushing defeat has, as we said, led to dissent brewing in the party across the country, with sources claiming that Rahul Gandhi is under pressure to now revamp the party completely. Our top story tonight is how the opposition finds itself now almost at the crossroads.
100% जिम्मेदारी जनता मालिक है और मालिक ने ऑर्डर दिया है, डायरेक्शन दिया है. The people of India have decided that Narendra Modi is going to be the Prime Minister. And as an Indian person, I fully respect that.
An embarrassing loss in Amethi and a crushing defeat across India, building up to the Congress's rout, leading the crisis within the party to explode. Sources have told India Today that Rahul Gandhi is likely to offer his resignation on Saturday at a meeting of the Congress Working Committee. They claim that Rahul wanted to announce his resignation on Thursday itself, but was advised not to do so by Sonia Gandhi. The party, however, has rejected the claims.
उन्होंने कहा था हम बैठ के कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी के साथ विचार विमर्श करेंगे. तो मेरे ख्याल से इस अफवाह को अफवाह समझकर ही अफवाह बने रहने देना.
The uncertainty has only pushed the party into further gloom. Uttar Pradesh Congress Chief Raj Babbar, Odisha Chief Niranjan Patnaik and Karnataka head H.K. Patil have quit taking responsibility for the rout in their states.
In view of the debacle that we have faced, I own the responsibility and I submit my resignation to Honorable President of the party.
Meanwhile, Punjab, which stood out as one of the few states that resisted the saffron wave, is witnessing a bitter battle in the state unit. Chief Minister Amrinder Singh has said that he intends to change Cabinet Minister Navjot Singh Sidhu's portfolio. He also said that he will seek the party high command's permission soon.
The Congress rout has caused a flurry of resignations and netas dying to claim collective responsibility. But all eyes will be on the CWC on Saturday, where Rahul Gandhi is supposed to offer his resignation. It will indicate whether really Congress is up for serious introspection and course correction, or as they say, old habits die hard, indulge in mere tokenism. With video journalist Dharmendra, this is Mosmi Singh in Delhi for India Today.
So what next for the Congress? What next for Rahul Gandhi? Joining me is someone who survived the Narendra Modi tsunami. I am joined by Shashi Tharoor at the moment, the Thiruvananthapuram MP with a hat-trick. Congratulations, Mr. Tharoor, you've scored a hat-trick there. But while the Congress has swept your state of Kerala, the rest of the country has been swept by the Namo wave. Why do you think that has happened? Are you shell-shocked today, 24 hours later?
Well, I have to say that it's really quite a shock, the result for all of us, because seasoned political observers and not just Congress sympathizers had a very different expectation from what turned out yesterday. I'm at a loss, Rajdeep, and I think we will have to do some very serious exploration as to how we could have misread the tea leaves so completely. I think many of us made the reasonable assumption that the Indian voter would vote in their economic self-interest. After all, Achhe Din never came in these 5 years. We thought, why would somebody who voted for Mr. Modi 5 years ago because they expected to get a job, why would such a person still vote for Modi 5 years later when he doesn't have a job? Why would a farmer contemplating suicide vote for Mr. Modi? Why would a small or micro industry enterprise vote for Mr. Modi when they were thrown out of work because of demonetization? We asked ourselves these questions and said, naturally, people will vote on their economic self-interest. We just have to appeal to them to remember the way in which these 5 years have gone for them and how much worse off they are. And we did that. And somehow it didn't click. Somehow the BJP managed to get the voter to ignore their own economic failures and misfortunes and instead vote for issues. We don't know what those issues are. Was it the larger-than-life image of the Prime Minister? Was it Pulwama and Balakot? What was it?
I'll tell you what it was. The sense one gets, and this is also from our polls, that many believe that India today, or large parts of India today, want a strong leader or someone who is perceived to be a strong leader, and Narendra Modi successfully was able to project himself as that leader. Also the fact, Dr. Tharoor, is that these elections are seen to have become more presidential. Your leader, therefore, was not seen to be someone strong or credible enough to take on Narendra Modi's strongman image, and that's where you lost out.
The issue here is that we don't live in a presidential system, Rajdeep. We are voting for parliamentary candidates, and in fact, no one can contest the extraordinary build-up of a personality cult around the Prime Minister over the last 5 years. After all, who can compete with the 5,600 rupees of taxpayers' money that has been spent on the publicity and advertising budget of the government? These are things that we simply have to recognize that no party can compete with. I'm not sure that that alone should have been enough. I mean, apparently you may well be right that it turned out to be what motivated voters. But then, you know, our system is then somehow at fault, because if you elect a person to run a presidential form of parliamentary government with a rubber stamp parliament who reflects his every wish, then you don't have the kind of accountability to a legislature that a genuine presidential system would have, and you are essentially surrendering yourself to an elected dictatorship.
You know, but let's be very clear. You know, the question you're avoiding is the question I'm going to pose to you. Do you believe that questions should be raised on the leadership issue of your party? In Western democracies, leaders take responsibility, they step down after a defeat. Now, you've suffered two major successive Lok Sabha defeats. I want to cut the chase and ask you the direct question. Should Rahul Gandhi be resigning tomorrow?
No, that's certainly not for me to say, and I don't think right now that that's on the cards, because our system, as you rightly said, in India, it doesn't work that way. The population of politicians is full of people who have lost elections and bounced back to fight another day, and no one has regretted the fact that they didn't resign earlier because they won later. That's simply the assumption in every party that has lost an election, there's been no change of leader.
No, that's not necessarily true. You've seen with the BJP, LK Advani, virtually his political career ended after the 2009 defeat. And why should Indian democracies be different from West? Why should India be different from Western democracies? Why should the Congress be different? Why should there not be accountability? Who's going to be held accountable at the end of the day when you suffer a massive election defeat, Dr. Tharoor?
I think there has to be accountability in the sense of exploring what went wrong. Well, what did we get wrong? What did the BJP get right? Why did we get certain things wrong? That kind of accountability must happen. There was a detailed series of such explorations and soul searching in 2014. It needs to be repeated in 2019. The factors are very different. I think the reasons we lost in 2014 are clearly not the reasons we lost in 2019. So we need to analyze that. That needs to be done. But to reduce the larger challenge to one of an individual or one particular leadership issue is, I think, to trivialize a far larger problem. Is the fundamental message of the Congress Party a message of inclusive India, of social justice, of economic equality, of treating people across the caste and communal divides as equals? Is that message failing to resonate with the Indian voter, or is it that we haven't got it through enough? Was now introduced too late as an idea to make an impact on the elections? These are the kinds of soul-searching questions that also have to be done. And in a parliamentary system, despite what you said, I also would look at individual constituencies, why we won somewhere and why we lost somewhere, what did we go wrong there. It can't all be reduced to the figure of one person, whether on our side or on their side.
You know, you're saying look at individual constituencies, but the BJP says all the 540, or people in the BJP tell me all 543 constituencies were fought in Narendra Modi's name. So essentially he made it quasi-presidential. Now Modi made it therefore about Namdar versus Kamdar, about the dynast versus, in a sense, someone who's come from the grassroots. Do you therefore believe that your party now needs to look beyond one family? Because that then gives the other side the opportunity to frame the question as Mr. Modi did, Namdar versus Kamdar.
Look, the overwhelming majority of our candidates do not hail from political dynasties. So as I say, we still think we are functioning in a parliamentary system. We have different candidates in different constituencies according to the needs of those constituencies and the character of those constituencies, and we genuinely attempt to represent the Aam Aadmi of this country through the kinds of reflection of faith in what our party stands for and what our people need.
Dr. Tharoor, I am talking about decision making in your party. Does your party need to therefore change the way decision making? It's not a private family limited company. It needs to empower regional leaders. It needs to empower people at the do a bottom up process, not a top down Delhi Darbar family process. What I'm talking about is a change in decision making process when I talk of dynasty.
Listen, the person who would agree with you most is Rahul Gandhi. I've heard him talk about the importance of grassroots empowerment, and certainly I believe those regional leaders we have, and sadly we have only a handful left, will not feel disempowered at all. But the fact still is that reducing India's politics to a contest of colossuses, of larger than life personalities, I think does India a disservice. We are a large, complex, diverse country. We have a number of issues which vary enormously according to region, language and concern. And I think we need to have a politics that's responsive to that rather than subsuming everything into one giant national leader. The era of Il Duce and the Führer is over. I mean, everywhere else in the world. We now need to think very seriously in terms of what politics does to empower the ordinary person. If you're a Kamdar, that Kam must be for the Aam Aadmi.
You know, many actually believe, just to the converse of what you're saying, this is the era, Dr. Tharoor, of the elected autocrats, of the strongman, from Erdogan in Turkey to an Orban in Hungary to a Trump also to some extent in United States, and now Modi, that democracies are keen to see, people are keen to see that strongman leader, the Führer concept. How does a party like yours then address it when a Rahul Gandhi is unable to match up, in that sense, some would say, to this strongman image? His is a very different image.
Well, you know, Rajdeep, my point is that and I've addressed this in my book, The Paradoxical Prime Minister, there may well be parallels between Mr. Modi and Mr. Erdogan in particular, to a lesser degree with Mr. Orban, Mr. Trump. They all come from different historical contexts and cultures, but the basic relationship between the democratic leader and the public is a serious issue. And this cult of the strongman remains an aberration in the context of all democracies, because democracies are very much about people who are responding to public opinion and to the ordinary voter. What we failed to see, I think, in this global context you mentioned, is that the majority of elected leaders are still Democrats in the old-fashioned sense, that the strongman is relatively few and far between. But very often a presidential system, like the one in Turkey or the one that actually exists in the US, might lend itself to some degree to those temptations, but in a parliamentary system, it's very difficult to see it in that prism. But once you do, and once you actually have a parliamentary system electing a leader presidentially who functions presidentially, then the dangers are much greater, because unlike in a genuine presidential system, you don't have an independent legislature. In our system, the legislature is an emanation of the ruling party headed by the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister gets a captive rubber stamp for anything he wants to do. And that is a betrayal of even the principle of a presidential system. To run a parliamentary system presidentially is to have the worst of both worlds. So Indians have to beware that we don't want that to happen in our country.
You know, but that's exactly what is happening at the moment. A parliamentary system, some would say, is becoming presidential, at least the way elections are fought. At the end of the day, Dr. Tharoor, the Congress today is reduced to 52 seats. You won't get the leader of the opposition post yet again. I ask you this, therefore, is this the end of the age of the Congress? And is this the age of BJP hegemony? Is the BJP now the dominant party for whatever reason, muscular nationalism, Hindutva, Moditva, and therefore you are competing in a sense on the back foot? You are now marginal.
Well, I don't agree. Maybe it's because I can't even contemplate an era in which India doesn't respond to the very powerful and passionate message of the Congress Party, the values of the Congress Party, of inclusion, of social justice, of communal harmony, of secularism, of economic growth, coupled with distributive justice. All of these things are what India has usually hankered for, and I still feel that a politics that ignores that is an incomplete politics. I think the Congress Party as the vehicle for such ideas has an indispensable role to play in India, and I believe in many ways once again should be the natural party of governance. To do that, we all have a responsibility in the Congress to revive the party from the bottom up, from the grassroots up, and I think that's got to be a major challenge. We have such a grassroots party in Kerala, and that's why we did so well. We don't have the same structures as effectively in other parts of India, and that's where we've done badly.
You know, you are an old Nehruvian, if I may say so. You know, the Khan market elite, as Mr. Modi would like to describe it. Do you believe that Moditva or Modiism has replaced now Nehruvianism as the dominant ideology of our times, and this election has only confirmed it?
In a democracy, you need an alternative to the prevalent ruling ideology. If you want to call it Moditva, we have to have an answer to Moditva, and that lies very frankly in what the Congress believes in, that I've just expressed to you. I believe that alternative has an audience, has influential hearers and supporters around the country. We need to mobilize them and rally them. And besides, though there is 5 years to the next election to Parliament, there's a lot of work to be done. And in between, there are state elections, there are local self-government elections, there's a lot of grassroots work to be done in all the stages between now and 2024. So we don't just sit back and mourn. We have to stand up and fight and be counted at every stage.
No, you have every right. You know, you hope to stand back and fight. You say that there is an audience there which believes in your message, but the message needs a messenger. And many believe that either your party cadre is not doing enough. The Congress is simply a party in power, not a party that is able to adjust to life in the opposition. I ask you, do you need a more credible messenger than possibly Rahul Gandhi to take the message of the opposition to the government, take the battle to the government? Why don't they make someone like you Why only someone from the Gandhi family is a question that's often asked.
But every one of us is a messenger of the Congress ideals. It's not just a question of one leader. I have seen the way in which the Congress functions. Every leader at every level in this party feels empowered to be a messenger for that message, a vehicle for that inclusive India. And I think we just have to inspire them to go out and do much more of this across the country. We will all play our part, and I certainly will play my part in Parliament and outside it, and so will my colleagues across the country. We're not about to give up, Rajdeep. We're in this business to win eventually.
Okay, where your author at the end? Let me quote to you, since you're a best-selling author. Mark Twain, you're telling me reports of the Congress's death are grossly exaggerated, is it, Dr. Tharoor?
The obituaries are premature, Rajdeep. We are still alive and kicking.
Okay. Shashi Tharoor joining me and setting, in a sense, our debate for the day on a day after that Lok Sabha debacle. Thank you very much for joining me. Remember, this has been an election where not just Rahul Gandhi, several Congress dynasts have bitten the dust. Rahul Gandhi, of course, lost from Amethi. Jyotiraditya Scindia has lost from Guna. Vaibhav Gehlot, son of Ashok Gehlot, lost from Jodhpur. Milind Deora, son of the late Murli Deora, lost from Mumbai South. Sushmita Dev, daughter of Santosh Mohan Dev, lost from Silchar. Bhavriya Bishnoi, lost from Hisar. Priya Dutt, lost from Mumbai North Central. Dipinder Hooda, lost from Rohtak. Jitin Prasad, lost from Doraha. And the list goes on and on. So, in a sense, I want to raise question. Should Rahul Gandhi step down as the Congress chief? Why is the Congress so fixated on the Gandhis? Has the time come for a non-Gandhi to head the Congress? Is the verdict 2019 a rejection of dynastic politics? Three special guests joining me. Yogendra Yadav, who's really triggered this debate over the last few days over the focus of the Congress. President of the Swaraj India, Nalin Kohli, spokesperson BJP, Pawan Kheda, spokesperson Congress. All three of you, you heard Yogendra Yadav, what Shashi Tharoor said. Reports of our death are exaggerated, says the Congress is still wedded to certain ideals. You are among those who says the time has come for change, that you even suggested the Congress must die. Now at the end of this turbulent big week, what would you say? Is there still space for the Congress?
Rajdeep, it doesn't take much history understanding to know that parties don't die overnight. And what I said was neither a forecast nor a remedy. My only point was this. Indian democracy faces a very big challenge today. Is Congress up to the task? This country has a strong government today. It doesn't have a strong opposition today. This country needs a strong government. This country needs a strong opposition. Can we expect that from the Congress? And my submission just was that no, given Congress's last 5 years of track record, and given what Congress is likely to do, that is not where we need to look at. We need to just turn our back to it. And that is what the metaphor of death was all about. We need to turn our back to it. Search for alternative must begin. And that alternative has to be sought outside the Congress, outside the mainstream opposition.
Right.
I focused on Congress because it happens to be the principal national opposition in this country. Therefore, you talk about it. But much of what I said would apply to most other opposition parties as well. Congress happens to be the weakest among them, as is quite evident from electoral results. BJP has done best wherever BJP confronted the Congress. So, in terms of leadership, in terms of strategy, in terms of vision, in terms of cadre, Congress is not what this country needs to defend democracy and diversity in future.
I'll come back to you because the question will then arise, what will replace the Congress? If you believe that the Congress is incapable of leading the opposition, who or what will lead the Congress? But Pawan Kheda, respond to what you're hearing. That's a rather sharp indictment of your party and your party leadership. There's a Congress working committee. Tomorrow morning, will we see the usual ritual of Rahul Gandhi submitting his resignation and the CWC saying, no, we can't accept anyone else. You are the one person who has to take us forward.
First of all, my congratulations to Nalin and Rajdeep to you.
Thank you.
I heard what Yogendra Yadav ji said, and I also responded to him on Twitter very sharply, because Congress Mukt Bharat is a dream shared between Mr. Modi and Mr. Yogendra Yadav for their own reasons. I'm afraid parties cannot be judged by 5 years in a life of a democracy. When there were stronger governments under Indira Gandhi, there was a very weak opposition. Tables do turn. The same opposition is now in power. So just by the track record of 5 years, that too is a very, very subjective way of looking at what happened in the last 5 years. We had a leadership change. 17 months Rahul Gandhi became the president. It's just been 17 months. We've won 3 state elections. But judging a party for its performance in 5 years and then expecting a new party to be born in the next 5 months or next 5 years is rather immature, I would say.
But what is
Yogendra
Rahul
Yadav
Gandhi's accountability, Mr. Kheda?
Which is called
Mr. Kheda, what is the nature of Rahul Gandhi's accountability?
They're not even a
Forget
Delhi
for a
party
moment
anymore.
Mr. Yogendra Yadav's statement. I ask you, what is Rahul Gandhi's accountability? Where does accountability start or
no, you
end
asked
in the
me both
Congress
the
party?
questions, so I need to first respond to that.
Sure.
You asked me to respond to Yogendra Yadav ji, therefore I responded to him.
Yes.
Rajdeep, accountability, you know, it's very simplistic and rather lazy to just hold one person responsible instead of analyzing the political dynamics of the times we live in, instead of analyzing exactly what is it that the voters chose and what did they reject in a particular party. But the laziest option is, oh, Rahul Gandhi is responsible. The laziest option is Congress should die. I think we are being intellectually very dishonest and intellectually very lazy when we resort to these shortcuts.
Okay.
So I would say let's all analyze. As political analysts also, we need to analyze this. Whether we are victors or we are vanquished, we need to analyze every seat, every process, every phenomena that we observe in a particular election.
So you're saying it's rather simplistic to put the blame for this defeat at Rahul Gandhi's door, even though he led your campaign. I'll come back to that. But Nalin Kohli, is this narrative fitting in what the BJP wants? The BJP wants a Congress Mukt Bharat, because then you have the entire space to yourself. Or do you believe that the Congress is your ideal, in a sense, opponent, because you're able to place the debate, as I said earlier to Shashi Tharoor, Namdar versus Kamdar. In a sense, you want Rahul Gandhi as your rival, because then you can pose the debate in the way you want.
First, thank you to Pawan Khera ji for his kind words in terms of wishing us for our victory of the party and of Prime Minister Modi. And Rajdeep, I'll join him in wishing you a happy birthday. Second, in terms of the question, we can only in a democracy go ahead and ask the people to vote for us to make it to government. We really don't have control of what the opposition would look like. That would be taking it too far. We don't design how the opposition looks like. Second, on a broader canvas, I disagreed with Mr. Yadav's views even on your last program, and I'll continue to disagree with it. Because we've seen India has seen strong personalities, including Dr. Tharoor. I wouldn't agree with what he said. I mean, the cult of personalities has been true to India from 1951 or 47, from Nehru to Indira Gandhi, and right up to Rajiv Gandhi's 400 plus seats. Oppositions have been there, and I think Prime Minister Modi puts it well, do se dobara. We were down to 2, and we are the ruling party for 2 consecutive terms. So writing the political obituary of a political person as also a political party is always premature and fraught with risk. Second, how the Congress party should be is really for the Congress party to determine. What we certainly have seen in this election, and you've pointed out, that the politics of inheritance, which means across the spectrum, not just the Congress party, where people have inherited the mantle from a family or their fathers or etc., broadly are lost. So maybe there's a message there that those who want to be in political life either have to rise from among those they wish to serve or spend more time there.
You know, Yogendra Yadav, what it's coming down to at the end of the day is, if the Congress party, according to you, is not good enough to take on Moditwa for whatever reason, then who? You know, the opposition, it's not simply a matter of let's let Rahul Gandhi resign and overnight the Congress is going to suddenly transform itself. Do you believe that there is a lack of, at the moment the opposition itself is struggling, whether it's your old aide Kejriwal, whether it's Mayawati, Akhilesh, all of them have been in a sense found themselves biting the dust in this election. Even Mamta and Naveen Patnaik, all the regional bosses are also facing strain. So if not Rahul Gandhi, who is the question?
Exactly, Rajdeep. But just one thing to Pawanji. Pawanji, don't equate what I say with the Bharat Mukta dream of BJP. You know very well. I mean, rhetorically, I could say, well, equate me with Mahatma Gandhi, who had said Congress should be disbanded. But that would be equally rhetorical. You know what I'm saying. I'm saying this because I believe that the challenge that comes to the country with the rise of the BJP, all right, we'll discuss debate history later. But to my mind, the real challenge that comes up right now for the country, I do not feel Congress up to it. So far from joining BJP's desire, my whole problem is that your party cannot be relied upon to provide a strong opposition to the BJP. So don't deliberately confuse me with what others are saying. The problem is this. When I look at Congress leaders speaking in Delhi, I hear very nice things about secularism and so on. When I speak to a Congress leader on the ground, when I speak to a Congress karyakarta, on issues of Hindu-Muslim, for example, they don't speak a language very different from that of the BJP. Forget the big ideals and so on. Minimally, what you expect from big mainstream parties is a will to power. I see that in the BJP for reasons that don't please me, but at least they have a clear will to power. I don't even see that in Congress. That is why I'm saying, and I'm not singling out Congress, I'm saying this applies across to opposition. And therefore, Rajdeep, that's a very valid question. What we have witnessed is a bankruptcy of opposition in this country, of which Congress is the most simple, pristine and most visible example. But as you rightly said, this applies across the board. Do I expect Mamata Banerjee to come and save democracy? Thank God I don't. So yes, that applies across. Where would it come from? The last question, Rajdeep. To my mind, we have reached a point where we should now begin afresh. I know Pawanji would immediately remind me of Aam Aadmi Party. I think he did. Pawanji, if one experiment fails, if you fail once in examination, you don't stop studying. You try again. If one startup fails, you don't stop industry. You try again. This country needs it. We have to begin afresh. We cannot rely now on these parties which have let the country down so badly.
But many would say if you need a fresh startup,
a fresh alternative. It must begin afresh. It must begin today.
You know, you say you need a fresh startup, but a fresh startup needs reinvention. So Pawan Kheda, at least reinvention. At least move away from the private family model where decisions are taken by, let's say, people only within a family. It can't be Priyanka Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi now taking major decisions. You've got to empower regional leaders. You've got to change the way your party functions. Surely that at least has to happen. Even if there's no leadership change, there needs to be a change in the way the Congress as the premier opposition party of this country functions. You need an Amit Shah. Who is your Amit Shah equivalent, as Mehbooba Mufti put it yesterday?
I'll give you an example, Rajdeep. Okay, I'll give you an example of the recently concluded election. There was talk of Aam Aadmi Party seeking an alliance in Haryana. What was the decision-making process in the Congress? Was it Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi who decided not to get into an alliance in Haryana? No. It was the state leadership. So I don't know where from is this perception being made rather successfully that the decision-making process in the party is centralized. I wish it was centralized. Parties like the Congress need less democracy within the party. I firmly believe that. BJP, Amit Shah, for example, you gave a great example. Do you think anything can move in the BJP without Amit Shah? So, you are questioning the Congress for lack of democracy, complimenting BJP for exactly the same.
No, I am complimenting the BJP for having
very clear about it.
No, I am saying the impression one gets is the Congress leadership and the workers. Where is the connection?
There is no democracy there.
Do you really believe that I make the charge against your party that your party only seems to...
Your workers
seem to only be obsessed with power. They don't seem to know how to function in the opposition, to take up causes, to take up agitations, to build that kind of credibility.
That's
Do
a
you
separate
agree or not?
question.
There must
No,
be a reason
no.
why you're reduced to 51
Sorry,
or 52
Rajdeep,
seats.
Rajdeep, that's a separate question. Rajdeep, these are separate questions. You first spoke about decision-making process.
Yes.
So please don't mix the other question with this. I responded to that. Number two, Yogenji, 10 years of UPA 1 and 2, where was the opposition coming from? Was it coming from the BJP? No. It came from free media. It came from activists like you. Opposition to us came from you. It came from the streets of India. And yes, we were at the receiving end of that opposition. Modi and BJP rode on that opposition. They did not lead that opposition. So please observe processes. Please observe the recent history. Let's not go back to 70s and 80s of India. Let's go back to 10 years ago what happened. 5 years ago what happened.
Pawan Kheda, you've
So,
seen the number of
opposition, yes,
Guinness who have fallen in this election. Let me ask you the
Sure.
bigger question. For a younger India, which is driven by a new form of meritocratic, in a meritocratic society, can you have an entitled elite that becomes Congress president or a Congress chief minister or indeed a Congress candidate only because they belong to a family? That's my point. Will you have to change all of these structures today? Narendra Modi will force you to do it. Do you concede that or not?
Number one, 6 elections post 1989 where Congress was either part of the government or was supporting the government or leading the government. Did you have a Gandhi as a Prime Minister? You did not. Number 2, complimenting Jagan Reddy as the king of Andhra Pradesh today. What is he? Isn't he a dynast? Complimenting Naveen Patnaik. What is he? Isn't he a dynast? 45% of the outgoing cabinet was dynasts in the BJP. Why is it that you only pick and choose on Rahul Gandhi and not on Varun Gandhi, on Sonia Gandhi and not on Maneka Gandhi? These are questions that we need to ask each other too.
Okay.
It's very easy to just be selective about dynasties. What dynasties are we talking about?
Okay.
Why aren't we talking about Maneka ji, Varun ji, Jagan Reddy, Naveen Patnaik? Why is it that there is an obsession in the media only about Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi?
Okay, let's leave it.
I ask.
Let me leave it there because I've run out of time. Nalin Kohli, as you said, this is a debate that the Congress at the end of the day will have to settle.
May I have a quick response? I need to make a few points.
Yeah, very quickly. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Very quickly, because you said that this is a battle at the end of the day that the Congress has to settle.
It'll
the focus is on them.
Number
you want
one.
to give them some advice at the very end?
Number one. Yeah, of course. But just like this to say that at the end of the day, the top post in the BJP is not reserved for someone from the family. It never has been. That's the difference between a family-run party and this. Now, they are entitled to run that way. Jagan Reddy walked thousands of kilometers, struggled for 10 years on the streets, and he's now got a mandate. He didn't sitting in an office do it. Amit Shah is not the president of a winning party because in 14 he said my next agenda is 19 and went on to make the BJP 11 crore Karyakartas and set up booth after booth after booth. Panna Pramukh, as the Prime Minister says, do it till the party succeeded to take the benefit of Modi's charisma and his government. It doesn't happen that way. Any political party can do it with that kind of hard work. It's not the Congress. But I'm sure of one thing, Congress or any party, it's not going to happen in a studio discussion based with any one of us. It happens when you go among the people and you win their confidence.
Your points are all well taken. Very good to have 3 erudite minds as we earlier had. Shashi Tharoor, no crosstalk, makes life much easier for a news anchor. Thank you all very much for joining me. My take. There is little doubt that verdict 2019 has pushed the Congress to the crossroads. The once mighty party is now reduced to double digits in 2 consecutive elections and doesn't even have enough Lok Sabha MPs to qualify for the opposition leader's post. All of which puts a big question mark on Rahul Gandhi's leadership. If in 2014 Mr. Gandhi could have held the 5 years of UPA 2 responsible for the debacle, this time he can't pass the buck. It was Mr. Gandhi who in a sense allowed this election to become quasi-presidential by challenging Mr. Modi's leadership and even daring him to a debate. In the leadership contest, it is clear that there was only one winner. To that extent, the credibility of Mr. Gandhi's leadership and messaging has been rejected by the people of the country. Blaming one person though for the defeat is unfair. The fact is that over a period of time, the Congress organization has begun to creak and crumble. Its decision making is flawed. Its ideology has been compromised. The role of the Gandhi family in this context must come under the scanner. Have they allowed a political party to become a tightly controlled private family company, disconnected from the workers? This is where Mr. Gandhi has to make a choice. As Congress president, he either creates a more vibrant, accountable system where regional leaders are truly empowered, or else he opts out. Remember, the Modi-Shah-led BJP machine is independent India's most powerful election machine. Taking it on is a monumental task. Is Rahul Gandhi really up to it, or is he an entitled, non-credible dynast? The answer to that question cannot wait another 5 years. Welcome back. Let's come to the other day's top story, and it's a terrible one coming in from Surat, where a deadly fire engulfed a commercial building in the city in Gujarat, claiming 19 lives. Most of the victims were students of a coaching institute which was located inside the building. Disturbing visuals as many jumped from the building to save their lives.
Heart-wrenching scenes, students jumping from a building to save themselves. The blaze broke out in a commercial complex in Surat while several students were attending a coaching class. As the fire spread, many students on second floor died of suffocation. Many others died or suffered injuries when they jumped out of the building to escape the fire. Prime Minister Modi expressed grief at the tragedy and directed the Gujarat government to extend all possible help. Gujarat government has ordered an investigation and assured action against the guilty.
Culpable homicide का ऑफेंस रजिस्टर किया, जो भी कानूनी कार्रवाई जरूरी है वो सब की जाएगी।
जो भी घटनाएं हुई है दुखद घटनाएं हैं। आज समय संपूर्णपणे वहीवटी तंत्र जवाबदार है। मैं मानता हूं उसके जो भी कसूरवार है उसके ऊपर कड़क से कड़क कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani announced financial help for the kin of the bereaved.
રાજ્ય સરકાર સંવેદના સાથે મૃતક બાળકોને એમના પરિવારને 4 લાખ રૂપિયા સહાયતા તાકીદે આપશે.
The horrific scenes at the Takshashila complex in Surat of students jumping to their death has caused national outrage. Devastating tragedies have taken place with alarming frequency, but little has been done to ensure safety in commercial buildings. With Sanjay Rathod and Gopi Manyar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Disturbing story there coming from Surat. Okay, it's been a hectic week. It's been a week unforgettable for any election junkie or anyone who tracks India and politics in any way. Now, yesterday we told you how Axis My India created history by getting the poll bang on, the exit poll. Well, let's do a bit of chest thumping. Guess what this news anchor predicted on the 6th of May? Listen in. 6th of May, after having travelled about 10 states, still a couple of more including Bengal to go, I would say this election will be over by 12 noon on 23rd. NDA to get more than 300, almost the same number if not more than they got in 2014. So maybe some of us sometimes get it right. Don't only believe pollsters, journalists not too bad also. Let me leave you with our image of the day. Prime Minister Modi today is in a conciliatory gesture reaching out to two members of the so-called Margdarshak Mandal of the BJP. LK Advani, his original guru, and Murli Manohar Joshi. Both of whom, remember, he travelled with Murli Manohar Joshi during his Ekta Yatra, and LK Advani was the person who saved his chief ministership in Gujarat in 2002. Today was a day for Mr. Modi to reach out to those who have often been seen as sidelined by him. Prime Minister Modi is India's man of the moment. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.